Doing why we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our East co-host. Back east producing, we have a tandem, Classy Kelly and Andre the Giant.
Oh, that was
Kelly
Gabby.
just bounced.
Oh, that was Kelly?
Yeah.
I thought that was Gabby.
No.
Oh, yeah. It's been all day. Everyone's been thinking Kelly's Gabby, Gabby's Kelly, and yeah, even RJ and Ryan were just like, what? You guys switched? Like, they didn't even notice.
Oh, man.
Now, 60 seconds ago, Kelly said, have a good show, guys. Andre and I switched, or we'll be switching, or something
Yeah,
like that?
She was
that's
leading
exactly
before on the other show.
Oh, that's what that meant. I thought they meant they're just going to switch off. Like, one's going to do the, what do they call it? The
like
board operator.
Andre was Robin. She was Batman. Now they reversed.
No, so he just said she's gone.
Oh, she's gone at all the
so
whole.
You're the Lone
No,
Ranger?
she didn't like leave like she's gone, but it's like MMA Tonight still has like some after stuff. So for those who want to listen to the show, if they missed anything, they could go on the SiriusXM app. If you have a car subscription and you want to just listen to what you missed, you're more than welcome to. Just create a username and password. Then, yeah, we're working on that right now with Kelly and also getting our Twitter going. So that's what Kelly's doing, and I'm here with you guys.
All right. You want to just go ahead and do a read while you're at it?
No, I just had to plug it in, man. Sorry.
Okay.
Do you guys want to know who's not gone?
Who?
Lieutenant Pete Mitchell, a.k.a. Maverick. Top Gun 2 trailer today. Did you see it?
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh, man, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay,
dude.
so that means it's 6 months away, or it's dropping this weekend,
It's
or
at
what?
2020.
Oh, come on.
A whole year away.
Yeah, I
but
gotta
can't
wait that long for that. I mean, I'll forget about it by then. I already knew.
35 years.
I already
Can't wait
knew that
6
it
more
was
months.
going to show up. So I was just like, oh, really? Like I thought we were here. We were, like either this weekend or the following weekend. It is on, but no, I still gotta wait. Yeah, but I knew it was coming.
You know what I was confused? It looks like he's flying the same stupid plane. In 35 years, they couldn't have upgraded?
Well, he is in the
Might be insane
Navy,
paint job.
and I only know the Air Force planes, so I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know about all that. Did you like it, Andre?
It would have been nice to see him in a Raptor, though,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see it. I hope they don't blow it.
Yeah, me too.
Who's coming back? Val Kilmer as well?
Iceman, yeah. What I couldn't tell was
I know Goose ain't coming back.
the guy that's always
Maybe
pissed
Goose
off,
Jr.?
the bald-headed guy.
Huh?
I think he's being played by Ed, what's his name? Or is it just a different guy, Andre? You know what I'm talking about?
Here, I'm just going to pull it up. Let's see
Oh
who's in
yeah.
this.
Wait, the guy that was
Ed
saying
Harris,
in the trailer,
right?
like, oh, you could have been like an admiral right now, but you're
Is
still
he
a
supposed to
captain.
be the guy from the first movie, or is he a completely different guy?
Yeah, I think he's, what was it, Viper?
No. That guy's
Or-
name was...
Gesture?
No. The other guy. At the very beginning, the bald guy that always gives him shit.
Oh,
You
yeah.
screw up
Oh,
one more time, you'll be flying.
yeah, he was older, though, right? He's
Yeah.
35 years later, still around?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's passed away now or he doesn't act anymore or what.
Top Gun Maverick. I'm looking on IMDb. It is scheduled to come out.
So what's the name?
Oh my
of,
God, dude! It's supposed to come out June 26, 2020. Yay! We're like 11 months away. Come on.
Hey man, it's 35 years. We waited this long.
Still.
We just want to hear shit.
Well, do you know his name?
Just look up Ed Harris.
Ed
and
Harris.
whoever that character is, I could tell you.
That wasn't Ed Harris.
Oh, that is his name?
Well, wait. Ed Harris is in it? He was in the first one?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think he's playing a guy from the first movie. Because he
Okay.
sounded kind of like him.
Okay.
He was trying to be like him, but I don't know if it's just...
In the movies, Jennifer Connelly, Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, Ed Harris, and then you might need to take a look at it because I'm not up to date on pop culture, so I don't know if some of these other names are.
Louis Pullman, isn't it? Jay Ellis. Bashir Saladouin is in it as well. As is Chelsea
All these
Harris.
are people?
Nah, I'm just reading names.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Yay! We get to wait almost a year before it finally comes out. You guys want to make plans now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
mind
make 'em.
making plans.
Oh, look at this. There's a lot of names here. All right, cool. All right. Okay. So anyway,
You know,
sorry for the tease, everybody.
You know, Andre's gonna sit in that movie theater eating kebabs.
You guys don't happen to know the main event for next year's International Fight Week, do you?
Dude, it's 35 years. If you hear anything, you get happy about it.
Well, if it's next year, it might be Tom Cruise, Justin Bieber 3.
Yeah, really.
So, yeah, just right around when Top Gun comes
Tom
out.
Cruise looked kind of old, man. I think Bieber might have would maybe.
Tom
get
Cruise
him.
was born in 62. How old does that make him? 7 years
Like,
older than me. He's
Maybe
56.
like 57.
But
yeah.
you don't look the way he looks.
Tom Cruise is still a
Yeah.
good-looking guy, isn't he?
No, he's like his face is starting to show it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Don't you think, Andre? Don't you think
Oh.
he kind of look?
Not
so then let
really.
me
Like,
say
he doesn't
this.
look his age, but if you look at it, like, right around the neck,
Let's see.
that's when you're like,
Okay.
yeah, there's a bit of age.
So get this, guys. I'm finally catching up on Cobra Kai Season 2. Are you in, Andre? Or do you know what we're talking about?
Oh yeah.
I have to binge now.
Okay. So have you even seen Cobra Kai Season 1?
Haven't at all, so yeah,
right.
I gotta start this binge.
Yeah. So I'm finally at the episode goes where Johnny goes back and finds Bobby, Tommy, and Jimmy from...
Oh yeah.
Tommy looked old, right? I know he plays the part of
Well,
somebody
they shaved his head too.
who's having health problems, and I don't want to give anything
oh,
away.
that. Oh yeah.
You know, like, put him in
That
a body
guy.
bag.
I was
That guy.
thinking of Bobby.
Boy, well, Bobby aged too. Like, William Zabka, Johnny doesn't look that bad. I
He
mean,
doesn't
I
look
think he
that
looks
bad.
pretty good, actually. But the other two were a little older, but Tommy looked really, really old. Now, again,
Mhm.
he's got some health problems, so maybe they added something to that, but I
Back
saw that, and
in prison.
I immediately looked at their ages, and they're only like 5-6 years away, dude, and they have the benefit of makeup, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
You don't look bad for your age.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, folks, we have a fun show planned for today. We have 3 guests. They're all in the second hour. That's why we're goofing off right now. But let me give you the names. So we'll start things off with Andre Harrison, who fights. He just had his first loss last year. The guy's like 18-0, 19-0. Finally had his loss, and it cost him big, man, because if there was ever time to go undefeated, it was when you were part of the PFL and fighting for $1 million. Lance Palmer took him out. So they're even, 1-1. It's just that Lance Palmer's win was more lucrative because that was the road to the final. So we'll talk to him. He's already started with the win here in Season 2. And he's got another fight coming up, so we'll talk to him. That fight's coming up next Thursday, by the way. Kayla Harrison, also fighting for the PFL. Huge name in combat sports. She's a 2-time gold medalist in judo for the United States of America. Actually, that's even more than what Ronda Rousey was able to accomplish for our country. No disrespect, but she was a gold medalist 2-time. And now she fights for the PFL. She's also undefeated. And we'll talk to her about her win that she had on July 11th. And also, now that we know, who the semifinalists are for the playoffs, we'll start to preview that fight. Lastly, we'll talk to Corey Anderson, who fights in the UFC. He's a light heavyweight. He was on the Ultimate Fighter, and then he's just worked his way through. Most recently, though, he's gone on a nice 3-0 streak. And so that 3-0 streak, along with the fact that he's looked pretty destructive along the way, has catapulted him towards the top. He's one of the names that when you start to ask yourself, hey, who's next for John Jones? He already beat Gustafsson in December of 2018, which was, 8 months ago? He already beat Anthony Smith in March of 2019, which was about 4 months ago. And he just won, 2 weeks ago, against Thiago Santos. John Jones is staying busy. He wants to fight one more time in December. So, who is going to be fighting him? Who will be on the other side of the octagon? Corey Anderson's gone through Elir Latifi, Glover Teixeira, and Patrick Cummins. Now, they have been decisions, which kind of hurts these fighters a little bit when they're trying to campaign and become that fighter. But in the last 3, he has shown a lot of improvement, a lot of devastation, and a lot of violence. So I think he has every right to say, what about me? Now, who else is in the running? Obviously, you got Dominic Reyes, who's actually undefeated in the UFC, and he's got a couple nice wins as well. But he's also been kind of a quiet guy. One could argue that Corey Anderson's more famous or popular or whatever you want to call it. He's also longer tenured. But Dominic Reyes is I don't see him do too much media. I think we've only had him on our show one time, but recently he's starting to pipe up. And then, they're going to want to run it back with Santos, except Santos just had surgery today on both knees. He said he went under for 4 hours, but both knees are repaired, except now it's the rehab, like that thing's the surgery's only 4 hours. The rehab's going to be, I would say, 9 months to a year. So just forget about him. I think this could be a 2-horse race, guys, between Corey Anderson and Dominic Reyes. It'll be interesting to see and hear what Corey Anderson has to say on behalf of himself. And now, one last guy, well, two, to be fair. Johnny Walker and Alexander Rakic. Both guys are making noise. They're a little bit further back in the pecking order, but they have been destructive as of late, and they're slowly climbing up the ranks. So that's why I say I think they're like in that next wave of light heavyweights to compete for the title. But I really think it's these other two that one of them is going to get it.
How long was your surgery?
I was supposed to be under for 45 minutes, but I wound up being under for, I think, 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
I think it was more like 2.5, 2 hours and 45 minutes around there.
Yeah.
He had 2 surgeries, right? Two knees.
2 knees.
And he was under for 4?
For 4 hours.
I keep seeing your surgeon at Dana White's Contender Series.
I saw him last week, said hello. He wants me to come in and check me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dr. Steven Sanders. No, we shook hands and everything, said hello. But anyway, I would say that it'll be interesting to hear what Corey Anderson has to say. Him and John Jones have a little bit of a Twitter altercation, Twitter beef, whatever you want to call it. So that should be fun. Now, the big news, we touched on it yesterday, except we didn't have all the pieces of the puzzle together. What we knew yesterday, as the show was ending, was that Donald Cerrone was pretty much going to get a fight. And we all put our heads together, Goz and I, and then some of the guys from the editorial that were still online for the day. We were chatting it up, just trying to figure out who could it be, because it was a little cryptic, but there was some clues in there. He did say, an old pal had called him. So right away we started thinking, well, who are maybe some Jackson Wink fighters, or could that mean someone that's had a long tenure in the UFC? Because these guys, they may fight each other, but the ones that have fought each other and they've just been in the UFC for a long time, I think they have that respect, kind of like as fraternity brothers a little bit. So I thought maybe it could be a previous opponent. So we started chopping away at some names.
I think you guessed it. Yes, you were the one that guessed it yesterday.
I did, but I got away from it a little bit because I started thinking there was some other front runners. Well, so we started thinking Paul Felder, because Paul Felder had a time when he trained at Jackson Wink. And I thought, ooh, that means Barbosa might be hurt, We confirmed that Barbosa wasn't hurt, and Felder also put something out on Twitter. Nope, not me. My fight's still good to go. And another thing Donald Cerrone said was, as always, late notice. So right away we started looking at some of the closer fights. Hell, I even looked at San Antonio, and I thought, is he an old pal of RDA or Leon Edwards or something? But, yes, I threw out Justin Gaethje because I thought, well, Donald's from Colorado, but Justin Gaethje went to northern Colorado and now lives in Colorado. Now, Gaethje's from northern Arizona, but again, he's been living in Colorado. So could they have ever cross-trained and maybe become pals that way? Or again, is there just that mutual respect of long-time veteran lightweights that just maybe want to say something like that to each other?
I tossed it out because how many times have we heard Justin Gaethje say, I don't do short notice?
Right, that was something that kind of...
So that to me was like a red flag, right away, just because he's so adamant about it.
He is. Now look, this is... So where they're fighting is in Vancouver. I think it's the second week of September. So we're right at 8 weeks. I think you could talk Justin Gaethje into 8 weeks. I think he likes more like 12, to be honest. But this is going back to a conversation we had on MMA Junkie Radio where the UFC has these cards to fill and they need to grab names. And remember, I think this had to do with Masvidal talk or something like that, or Covington talk, where you can hold your ground, but when they call you and they need you, you better have one hell of an excuse. Otherwise, if you're kind of turning them down, they'll just go, okay, can't fight, huh?
I thought Covington's was a hell of an excuse. I thought it was pretty good.
Yes, for the sinus.
Yeah.
But then this past winter, he wanted to fight Woodley.
But they were already mad at the sinus thing.
Well, they were, but I thought they were out of line. I was on Covington's side there. But then after Woodley defeated Till, they asked Dana White again. So now what? And he said Covington. Right? So he was Covington all through football season. All through the fall. And then we get to Usman versus RDA. And Usman impressed Dana White. And all of a sudden, well, you never know. All of a sudden that game started being played. Now, Woodley hadn't committed. Well, this isn't really a chat for that, but Woodley hadn't committed. They were looking at even Usman versus Covington. Covington said, no, I don't want Usman, I want Woodley. And so I think there was just a little bit too much of Covington, turning down certain fights, and I think that was starting to bother the UFC brass. I don't know. I think that's how it played out because it eventually became Woodley versus Usman, and the rest is history. Usman's now the champ. But circling back, I think he's got grade A credit with the UFC.
Yeah.
He's put in some he's had some barn burner fights. He's spilled some blood for those guys. Fight of the night candidate. So if this guy honestly wanted to say, guys, this is the way I get down, but I need my preparation, can't do, I think they would honestly hang up the phone and go, hey, no problem, pal. You know what I mean? They don't get mad early on with him because I think he's been one hell of a team player for him. Other guys, I think they'd slam the phone, but with him, it's like, oh, okay, well, we thought we'd give it a shot. So they are headlining in Vancouver, and I can't wait for that fight.
They've gotten quite a few gems. I mean, I don't
Vancouver?
know if you want to. No, the UFC. I don't know if you want to call it free agency because some of the organizations they just flat out bought out. Think about it. Cerrone came from the WEC, right? Justin Gaethje, he came from World Series.
Right.
Those are two guys at any time, any place, right? Throw in.
But WC they kind of purchased.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Throw in a guy like Eddie Alvarez that came from Bellator. He was kind of like an anytime, any place. He didn't cause very much trouble.
He was a free agent signing.
Gilbert Melendez came from Strikeforce. He was another kind of anytime, any place. Jorge Masvidal. Like, really, they're like homegrown talent, if you want to call it that. Of those guys would be like Frankie Edgar, right? He's kind of one of those guys that doesn't really cause too many problems. He's always there to fight.
Right. And maybe that's why Frankie Edgar got that shot versus Holloway, because most of the time he stepped up when they needed him. That's just kind of how it works. And if you think about it, guys, I don't know that it's that different from most workplaces. The boss is going to have some favorites, and that usually can be the ones that maybe always put in that overtime or give you that solid 8 hours. They're not looking at their phone. They're not going on smoking breaks or coffee breaks or whatever. You know what I mean? They're just giving you whatever they signed up for, the 30-minute lunch and 2:15s. But other than that, they are focused. Who knows? Who knows how it works? That's part of the equation that's a little confusing. And if that turns you off, maybe that's the appeal of the Grand Prix over at Bellator or the regular season at PFL, because it's those results that determine what's about to happen. Hey, I'll tell you what's about to happen. Chuck Liddell's on the verge of falling down over there. Reach around the computer. He's about 20% off the table. There you go. All right, that's a little better. Let's take this break. You are listening to MMA Junkie Radio. When we come back, we're going to talk about Abel Trujillo, former UFC lightweight who fought in the UFC many a times. We talked about some trouble he got in yesterday, and now we have a few more details that have emerged from his case. So stay close. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Instantly returned for raiding all their snacks. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Here's SiriusXM Now, and when you are out of the car. Now included with most SiriusXM subscriptions. You can hear more of what you love, get more control of how you listen, and have more ways to listen anytime, anywhere you want it. Play personalized stations powered by Pandora based on the artists you love. Just create a username and password and you're ready to start streaming. Learn more at SiriusXM.com/more. All right. Who chose that song? That's a great song.
Thank you.
Goes.
I didn't choose the song. I just choose the band.
Oh. So
really, I didn't have too much to do with it.
50% credit goes to you. 50% credit goes to Andre the Giant.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. All right, guys. So yesterday we talked about Abel Trujillo, who I guess for the past month, we didn't know it, but for the past month he had been jailed. And what we didn't have was like the specific details of what had happened, other than he was charged with sexual exploitation of a child and obscenity to a minor.
Which could be a lot of things,
It
right?
could be a lot of things. And this is pretty serious stuff, obviously. 12 to 18 months in prison, fines up to about $100,000, I guess depending on the severity. Now, we have a few more updates. Shout out to Steven Morocco, one of the best reporters in mixed martial arts. We are very, very lucky to have him. He's really, really good when it comes to these types of investigative reports. He writes, Abel Trujillo is accused of sending explicit text messages and videos to a female he knew that was underage. So right away, that's trouble.
Yes.
There was no confusion of age or anything like that. He's alleged to have sent pictures of his genitalia and videos of him masturbating after friending a 16-year-old on Instagram and Snapchat, and he did this in March of 2018, according to an arrest affidavit obtained by MMA Junkie. So, you guys want me to continue here?
So it
She
doesn't
stopped
get any
him.
worse than that.
She stopped, asked him to stop, blocked him, I guess, early on. She admits to the authorities that she was enamored with his celebrity, the fact that, wow, a professional athlete, it is corresponding, I guess, via social media. But then when it got creepy, she asked that he stop, and she informed him of the age. He's admitted this, by the way, to the police. There was no real confusion that could be met. She was telling the authorities because the recent pics that she had posted was her in high school cheerleading and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what I'm getting at is really, really there's no excuse. He knew what he was doing at that point. Now, since then, apparently, what happened was he got arrested in Florida, and all that's been extradited back to Colorado on that warrant for, I guess there had been a warrant to issued for his arrest. I think what I read towards the bottom, though, is that he has already posted bail goods.
Ooh, I didn't read that part.
Did I read that part right?
What? I don't know if you read it already.
Let me wait. I'll continue reading here. I thought I had read that, but
Did you read what the maximum sentence is for that? For something like that?
Mm-mm. Well, 12 to 18 months initially is what I had heard. But is there
Doesn't
an
that seem
update?
light?
Yeah, I mean, look, guys. So basically, exposing the genitals on the streets is just known as the dick pic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because I don't know what other people have gotten for that. But anything having to do with minors, yeah, you're right. That number 12 to 18 months stands out as a number that should be, worse than that. Because, like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for someone that is capable of doing something like that? That's the type of predator that needs to be stopped. What's shocking to me even more is the billionaire that was. Oh man, I don't even know if I want to get into him, but this guy was importing these women, and
when you got billions, what an idiot.
And people kind of snickered and joked like they kind of knew that he was into young girls or whatever, but he only got to do a certain amount of time, and I think a lot of it was where he had to wear the anklet
bracelet.
Yeah, so he was allowed to be home.
House arrest.
Now, granted,
for a billionaire,
he had like the top level representation, like a dream team of sorts. But either way, when anything involving children, Yeah, I don't want to see 12 to 18 months. I want to see way more than that, man.
Yeah.
I would imagine at least 5 years, right?
I would think.
But, you know, without being, you know, an attorney or a DA or anything, and not knowing what the history of all that is, some of them, you know, if someone were to sit here next to us, they'd go, "No, that's kind of what happens," you know, that's according to what they've seen, you know, through their experiences. But there you have it, folks. I guess Snapchat was involved. The authorities had to go and search through the girl's phone, and even though some stuff had been deleted, they were able to get to some of the stuff through his iCloud. Some stuff was blocked through Snapchat. So all this is just like, you know, I guess they're still sifting through the case and seeing what else is out there. This could get worse, or maybe that's the end of it. I don't know. But, you know, his cooperation maybe might help him in the long run, but I got to imagine he will be doing some time.
Yeah, hopefully.
He's also got a case history where he's previously pleaded guilty to domestic abuse charges against the mother of his child in 2007, 2009. So there you have it, folks.
That's, I don't want to say life-ending, but like definitely career. But I mean, that's something that goes with you for the rest of your life, everywhere you go. You know,
you'll have to register no matter where you're at. So more than likely, your neighbors will know who you are and what you've done. I don't know what you could do. I don't know what kind of rehab you could do to prove to the world that you're, you know, ready to function as a normal member of society. You know, he is a public figure, and so maybe there's something he could do on that front. But think about how much he would have to do to convince people that, you know, not to walk in the other direction, or my kids aren't going over to your house. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to have a lot of trouble for the rest of his life for sure. He made some very, very unwise decisions. All right, so there you have it, folks. Let's catch up a little bit. First segment went a little bit longer, so we are going to go to another break here. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. We have a nice, friendly daily debate coming your way, and it's going to revolve around a topic we just covered. So stay close. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
In your Vitamix, add ice, and you get MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, guys. Let me ask you a quick question here. This song right here, there's a point where somebody goes, ah, 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 ah. It sounds like a bird that's crying, I guess.
I don't think I've ever heard it, but I was kind of digging it.
It's somewhere later in this song, yeah.
Play it really low for now, Andre. Yeah, like that. And then we're going to keep talking, and then eventually we'll circle back to it when we think it's coming up. But I want to know if that is the singer that's doing it. Does he have to do this at every concert he's at? And
Yeah.
You have to. People are expecting it.
Or,
Or, here's what you do. If you know what you're doing, you just point the microphone out to the crowd and have them
do it.
Yeah. I've noticed that a lot of singers, when they get older in age and they can't do those type of
it.
things, that's when they point the mic. Because, of course, I want to pay $200 to hear myself sing.
You know what it's not coming up yet. Okay. I want to ask Lillian Garcia, when PFL comes to town, I want to ask her about, she was dead set against lemon and water, right? But Andy Vargas does drink water with lemon. So I don't know if it's just two different people in two different careers using their vocal cords in different ways. But I wanted to ask about that because I remember it was just a direct contrast to what I remember seeing Andy drink.
Remember certain foods do certain things, so maybe it's the same thing with, like, since she has to scream really loud, not scream, but in spurts, versus Andy's got to do it long. Maybe something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's me being stupid. I'm sorry.
Well, she's also a singer. She's also a singer, too, aside from her duties as a former WWE in-ring announcer, and now doing the same job for PFL. I guess she's also a singer, and she's done some acting. All right, that stuff's really low, Andre. Are you going to be able to pick it off?
Yeah, I'll be able to pick it off.
All right, so we won't do audio cuts just yet. We'll get into them, so have your hand ready for that one, your finger. Bellator announced their featherweight Grand Prix. Aaron Pico's not included. We talked about this the other day, but have you had time to digest it, and are you okay with that decision?
Well, it was Scott Coker's decision, and Scott Coker came out and talked a little bit about it, and I thought everything he said made sense. I thought it was probably a really tough decision because they've invested a lot in that kid, and that kid wants to fight. I thought it really showed that they're looking out for their fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, like,
Chico, the
position he's in.
Like Daniel Cormier did, right? Kind of like linger around. Oh, wow, someone got hurt, and boom, guess who steps in? Now he would miss the quarterfinal round, or the round of 16, because the quarterfinal round is the round of 8. So he might miss a fight or something, come in. I don't think anyone would have a problem, because he is legit. He is coming off a loss. But I think we don't all understand that a good featherweight is entering the Grand Prix.
Man, it kind of go against what they're saying, though.
It'd be 3 months later, maybe 6 months later.
He needs time. He needs like a year off, I think.
Really?
I think so.
Is this it? Here we go. All right.
Yeah, it's coming.
That's it.
That's it?
Wait for it.
Ha.
Yeah, it's toward the end of the song where he gets all out with it.
Yeah, so what happens there, Goes? Like, is
the fans do
the singer do that, or do they have some sort of a little mixed file?
I think they have a mixed file. I think he probably does it every now and again, but I don't see him doing that every time.
Well, it's still a jam. It's one hell of a jam. All right, thanks, Andre. All right. Well, look, they had a Bellator Media Day. Scott Coker was there. So let's find out a little bit and hear it through the president of Bellator. This is cut number 1, how the tournament is going to work.
Well, keep in mind, the 16 fights will happen, and then it's going to be the pairings. The pairings will be a whole different thing. So it's not like these 16 fights will happen and the brackets are already set. So how it's going to work is when the 16 fights happen, then we're going to have a drawing. It's going to be a random drawing show. And it's going to be on the evening of the fight or the Monday after at Viacom here in Hollywood. But it's going to be a show that's basically the fighters will pick who they end up fighting.
I wish he could have been a little more specific.
Yeah.
For one, he said 16 fights. I think he means 16 fighters.
Mm-hmm.
That means 8 fights. 8 fights, 16 fighters. And
But then you
could it be
you
like
have them select? They're gonna select who they fight at random.
right? So you know how the PFL does their little point system. Hey,
Mhm.
3 for a win, another 3 if you ended in round 1. They could come up with something there where they say whoever was the most impressive gets to choose their opponent.
Well, he's making it sound like you draw, say, 8 names.
Oh, I wouldn't
random.
want to see that. Yeah.
So they draw 8 names, and then those 8 guys get to pick who they want.
Were
I
the
think is
brackets-
what he's making it sound? But now,
the
think
brackets
about
weren't
this
1
though.
through 16, right? Did they identify them that way?
No, they didn't. Think about it this way, though. Scott's been around. Scott's seen a lot of tournaments. He's done a lot of tournaments. I don't think he's going to give us a dumb product. Whatever it is, I think it'll probably end up being pretty cool. But right now, I'm thinking you definitely want to be able to select those matchups, right? Like, don't you?
If you're a fighter, or if
No. If you're a fan, like, don't you want the promotion?
If you're a fan, yeah, I think you'd want the promotion to do it because they're the ones that'll be able to probably guide the different styles of fighters towards the slobber knocker fights.
It's a ballsy
Right?
move. It's a ballsy move. It really is. Because, like, think about it. If you had a guy, like, if this were the welterweight tournament, what was everybody saying about MVP, right?
Yeah, Paul
Bellator's
Bailey.
they're trying to protect them. They don't want, and then they waited and put that matchup together. You wouldn't have that situation here. So, like, a guy like Aaron Pico, he could end up getting a maniac in round 1. Like, you never know how this is going to end up. So, in a way, I guess, yeah, the drama is fun, but we'll see, man. I don't know. It's interesting. I like that they not only brought back tournaments, but they added a couple wrinkles here and there. So, cool. I'm in.
I'm looking at the names, and I don't see like a number 1 next to. I've gone to a couple different websites, including ours, and I don't see like a 1 or a 16 or anything like that. So maybe whoever impresses. Now remember, there's 2 events: Bellator 228 in San Jose. Sorry, 226 in San Jose and 228 in Inglewood. They're about 21 days apart, 3 weeks. So there's going to be 8 fights, 16 fighters, 4 fights each night. So 8 fighters each night. So I would imagine that after the first night, Strauss, Curran, Sanchez, Cecilia, Carvalho, Claxton, Borix, and Campos, the 4 winners, maybe they get to choose who they fight out of, here's what I'm trying to say. There's going to be 4 winners that night, right?
Right.
And let's just say Strauss was the most impressive. Well, he only has 3 guys to choose from. Now, when he explained it and he said something about 16 fights, I think everyone's mind jumped to 32 fighters. And then
I think
it
everybody
became a
figured
little.
that out now.
Well, yeah, but it became a little bit more cluttered. This way, I think it's pretty easy to figure out that Strauss really only has 3 guys to choose from. But it won't be that anticlimactic. Now, if they wait till the other one plays out, then there'll be 8 winners, and yeah, we'll have to figure out who's going to choose who there. That might be interesting. Let's go to the next cut. This is why he went with this way instead of the traditional brackets.
Well, you know what? To me, we usually have like an 8-man scenario. This is a 16-man scenario. So we thought, okay, how do we get to the 8-man? Because in the future, I think all of our tournaments will have this random type drawing. And basically, I'll explain to you how it works. Because if you've been around martial arts a long time, you've seen the drawings for K1 or the drawings in Japan. This is a playbook right out of Japan. Basically, what it is we'll have 8 slots against the wall. We'll have 8 fighters sitting in a chair. They'll go pick an egg, crack it open. I have a number on it. So I'm number 1. I get to pick any slot. The difference is going to be now I'll know where I'm fighting. Am I fighting December 15th in Hawaii, January 22nd in LA, February, March? We'll have locations, everything all set up. And so now I'm number 1. I can take the number 1 slot. I can take the number 8 slot and pick where I want to fight. So let's say Josh Gross picks number 2. He can go anywhere that I'm not there. So he could come fight me in the number 2 slot. He can go to number 8.
He's scrappy, Scott. Look out.
Yeah, I know.
I want you to cover
Yeah, no. But it's basically, and then Karen, you pick number 3.
Yep.
You could come fight me. You can fight Josh.
Okay.
You could go in the middle somewhere. Or let's say you get injured a little bit in this tournament somewhere. You might want to fight in February, March down the line. So there's going to be some strategy on who I want to go pick, where I want to go, and time frame of these tournaments that are laid out. So it's going to be very interesting to see who picks who. Mm-hmm.
When's that going to happen? That whole event.
It's going to happen either the night of the fight on the 28th, or we'll do it at the Viacom offices on the 30th. in Hollywood, but it's going to happen, within the Monday following the tournament.
So it sounds like both cards have to play out.
Mm-hmm. That sounds
not after
kind
each
of
individual
fun now.
card.
After hearing a little bit of that, there is strategy as to when you want to fight those type of things.
And the advantage will be those that fought 3 weeks before. Let's say I'm one of the winners from 3 weeks before. Someone just and let's say the first of the quarterfinals is in December, and someone just went through a horrible 5-round fight. Maybe that's the time to catch that guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And say, I want him. I have the additional 3 weeks. I kind of came out of my fight unscathed. I want that guy.
Well, you heard what Jay Haran when he was talking about that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That might be the right time to go after someone like that.
Right. So if we know what the future schedule is, sure. Now, I guess the other thing I can think about is, let's just say you're someone who loves fighting. You know that the UFC, sorry, not the UFC. You know that Bellator's going to Arizona, and you're from Arizona, then you have the chance to say, I want to headline at home. Mm-hmm. There's some people that hate that. There's some people that don't want to ever fight from their in their hometown, and so maybe they point in another direction.
It's very few, though, right? Really,
I think so.
Really, it's a handful, and what it comes down to is people bugging them for tickets and stuff like that. Can't you just assign somebody like, this is my brother, he's handling all that. Leave me alone.
Well, here's the other thing goes. Let's just say they were to announce the quarterfinal matchups would take place in December, February, April, and June. If you're fighting in December, you're training in October and November. Could be kind of chilly if you're an East Coast fighter. If you're a West Coast fighter, you may not mind. You know what I mean? If you're training in June, then maybe you get
holidays.
You get a little bit better, a little bit warmer weather. In April or May, as you and folks, you might be laughing, but a lot of fighters told us that they didn't like to have their camp. I remember Rich Franklin.
Yeah,
he did not like to have camps in the winter. He was from Cincinnati. It was too cold. The guys down at ATT in Southern California, they don't really have that problem, but. Those, I think, are some of the things you're going to take into consideration. Is just the health, your own health, the health of your opponent that you're possibly seeking out, the location, the time of the year, yeah, and maybe you want to be at MSG. That's the card I want to be on. Sorry, no disrespect. I just don't want to fight at Thackerville, Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Port Thackerville. They're the ones that always get hammered with that little example. Lastly, does the tournament system help sell fights? Well, Scott kind of already touched on this a little bit in cut number 2. He comes from that. He touched on it, but let's hear exactly everything that he had to say here in cut number 3.
Listen, it's a good piece of business. People understand the tournament, and I really enjoy tournaments that have 8 stars fighting or 8 people that I know fighting. And when I was working for K1, I always loved it because it's very clear. At the end, there's a pathway. And at the end of the day, you're going to have a champion. Now, this is a little different because we're doing a whole year-long tournament. But what it does for us and it does for them is that it creates a storyline, right? So we get to paint a picture all year long of the heavyweight tournament, all year long of the welterweight tournament, and then all year long for the featherweight tournament. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And, it'll be on DAZN. We'll have pieces on Paramount. We'll have digital pieces for you guys, digital pieces for us. It's going to be a lot of content out there, and it's going to be something that I think the fans are going to really enjoy.
Yeah, I hope people watch.
Not to be a dick, but they're still on Paramount. I thought they were just going to, finish that out and make DAZN their home.
I mean, I guess there's still maybe advantages of both, right?
I suppose, but I when you're being sent everywhere, Fox went through this a little bit. Fox had Big Fox, Fox Sports 1, which was their primary home for the UFC, but the occasional Fox Sports 2. But do you remember the times they sent you to FXX or FX? I don't know, man.
The worst was setting your DVR and finding out they made that switch.
Yeah,
like a baseball game.
A baseball game. It's 8-0,
NASCAR.
but we're still in the 9th inning, and as soon as we get that last out, we're going to move over.
I hate
and in the meantime, by the time you move over, they're like, folks, have you ever seen a crazier round one than that? Oh, my God.
One time, I had set the DVR to tape some fights that I couldn't see, and I remember sitting down, and I think I even got, some food. I was excited, And the first thing that started was like one of the like world's worst police chases or something like that.
Really?
I was so mad. Oh.
Yeah. And Paramount just became less of what I fell in love with when it was Spike, which was kind of like a guy's channel. You know what I mean? Remember they had girls jumping on trampolines and cheerleader outfits and just all kinds of like bar shows, the fights, cops, whatever. Paramount is not that, and
They show
I'm
good
not
movies.
saying I have a problem with it, but I'm just saying the fact that the Zone made a commitment to them, I would think that something like maybe you finish out a certain contract, but after 6 months, pow, we're gone. You know, the Zone is our home. But
That should be their tagline.
this is going to be this is going to take about a year and a half.
The tournament.
The tournament, yeah, because it's the round of 16.
But you'd rather have it all on DAZN?
Well, no, I just like the consistency, and
I guess.
I don't know. I don't know why. Is there an advantage of staying at Paramount? I mean,
Well,
is
for
are they getting a
you,
lot of
say
money?
we're here right now and we want to watch it. If it's on Paramount, we can watch it there. Versus DAZN, we got to bust out the laptop, or if we don't have our Roku over here.
Yeah, I suppose. Andre, do we owe you a break?
We got one more.
We better do it. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about boxing, because there's a big boxing match, in town, featuring Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman.
Whoop, whoop.
It's a pay-per-view. We got odds, and we'll talk about it when we come back.
They will destroy you. Just ask Three Finger Eddie and Pete the Penguin. Who are they, you ask? My point exactly. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, folks, on Saturday, we're talking about the sweet science a little bit here. On Saturday, Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman are going to mix it up at the MGM Grand Garden Arena here in Las Vegas. It's a welterweight title bout. And the odds, still the same. I don't have them here, but I happened to, when I grabbed these ones that had to do with the UFC, the boxing was right next to it, and it's still the same. Manny Pacquiao's minus 155. Keith Thurman comes back at plus 135. Goes swears that he saw Thurman a favorite earlier in the week.
Earlier.
Yeah. And I knew it was pretty much pretty
I thought
pretty
he was
even.
like minus 125, 135 or something like that.
Okay. So the money is pouring in on Manny Pacquiao. And Pacquiao is 40 years of age. That is...
Take it easy.
I mean, he's one hell of a fighter, Goes. But he is 40 years of age, and now he's fighting like a straight-up G. You know, like a... You know, a really good fighter. This is the type of fighter that's going to be faster than him, possibly. And this is the one where if he loses, I'm not picking him to lose. I'm just saying, if he loses, you'll start to hear the stuff about father time and
Bet the over.
Bet the over. Well, the over.
I know it's ridiculous, but
if it has to get to the 12th round for that over to hit, but that surprises me. I mean, Pacquiao's got power. You know what I mean?
he hasn't really knocked very many people out lately.
True.
And he fights a little bit more conservative now.
Keith Thurman's
always
about
got
2
some
inches
kind of
taller.
injury.
He's got the reach advantage.
Keith's not that heavy-handed either.
Yeah. How do you see this thing going down? Do you have an official pick just yet?
Yeah, I think it'll go 12 rounds with the decision going to Keith Thurman. I don't know that I think Manny will have his moments here and there, but I think I got him winning maybe like 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the experts I've noticed that I've been reading about are saying the same thing you're saying. Decision. So Pacquiao's 40, Pacquiao's 40, Thurman's 30. There you go. And, 10 years may or may not make a difference. But I'm looking at a pretty even split when it comes to Thurman or Pacquiao. Again, according to like the Raphaels of the world, Timothy Bradleys, Teddy Atlases, they're all pretty split. Maybe that's why we just got to tune in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we will be tuning in because Goes and I will be doing a sportscaster on Saturday for UFC on ESPN4. It'll start at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I believe there's 6 fights assigned to the main card, including a main event of Rafael dos Anjos and Leon Edwards. Here's some other fights. Walt Harris, Alexei Oleinik, Greg Hardy, and Juan Adams. James Vick versus Dan Hooker. That's a pretty solid card, right?
Yeah.
Here's a couple more names for you. Francisco Trinaldo versus Alexander Hernandez, and Andre Arlovsky versus Ben Rothwell. That's a nice card, man.
Yeah.
Good job,
and
San
there's
Antonio.
some good betting on those fights. Some good odds, I think.
So we'll probably dip in and catch the last prelim or two and then spend the next 3 hours with you. As this unfolds, we are also going to be watching. That's something we have a lot of is TVs. We'll be watching the boxing. So we'll just kind of react to both events. So join us again Saturday night, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Our channel, if you want to subscribe right now, that way you get a notification, is www.sportscaster, SPORTSCASTR. There's an E missing on Caster. www.sportscaster.com/MMA Junkie. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've been doing this now for most of the spring and summer, and hopefully we don't stop doing it because we have a blast doing it. But, all right, who did you go with? Who's your prediction?
Keith Thurman.
Keith Thurman? Yeah.
By decision, but I don't think I think he's just going to beat him by volume. I don't know that he's going to really outclass Manny, and I think Manny's just not going to pull the trigger that much.
All right, I want Pacquiao to win, but I think Thurman's going to win. However, I think the under's what I'll be cheering for.
You're going to bet the under?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I just think something... They're both pretty skilled fighters, but I just think someone may get caught.
I got one in the bank already, but Chipotle?
Yeah, all right.
All right.
So you're taking the over.
I'm taking
and
the
I'm
over.
taking the under. So the minute they come out for round 12, I lose.
Right.
Anything before that,
You win.
I win. All right. Folks, we're going to be gone for 60 seconds. We got 3 fighters headed your way. Andre Harrison, followed by Kayla Harrison, and then Corey Anderson. Stay close. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Good, you're still here. The boys were just getting warmed up. Now the real show begins. Take it away, boys.
Okay, let's take it away. So what we're going to do is we're going to reshuffle a few things here. We tried Andre Harrison. We had no luck. And in the meantime, we're just going to kind of flip things around, which we already did earlier because remember how we were supposed to do the daily debate? Well, what happened was it hadn't finished yet. And I thought, well, let's just finish it out so we can get as many votes as possible and have the best amount of sample size. However, guess what, guys? I'm flipping it again because Andre Harrison just texted me and said, please call me back. So, Andre, don't hit it. Instead, call Andre Harrison, please.
You got it.
All right, I hope all that made sense. All this is just flashing in my computer. Yeah, real time, man. It's all going down in real time. Now, Andre Harrison will be fighting next Thursday, so July 25th, I should say it that way, a week from today. And he's going to be fighting Movlid Kaibulev. They do not make it easy for me, the PFL.
No, they do not.
Movlid Kaibulev. You can watch the fights on ESPN Plus. They start at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Then they move over to ESPN2 at 9 p.m. Eastern Start Time. The main event that night will be Ahmed Aliyev versus Chris Wade. What we have next Thursday is lightweights and featherweights. This will be their final chance to accumulate points so that they can get to the final 8 of the playoffs that start in October. How are we looking, Andre the Giant? Nothing yet. All right, so let me throw out a little bit more info here. Our guest, Andre Harrison, you can follow him on Twitter at Dre the Bull. By the way, since we're doing that, I'll throw mine out. I'm at MMA Junkie George.
And I'm at the Goes.
Yep, and our radio show is at MMA Junkie Radio. So there's a few follows for you. In fact, all of those right there, they work on Instagram too.
That's weird. How you spell Goes?
Goze, not Goes.
Yep. All right, joining us now on the hotline is Andre Harrison. Hello, Andre. How you doing?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, man. We're happy to get you. I thought maybe we're gonna miss you there, but thanks for texting me back.
No problem. Now it came up as scam likely, so I'm like, man, I don't know who.
Did it really?
Right now.
Sorry, that's how SiriusXM's phones are. Whenever we dial out, it'll come up like a weird 6-digit number. So yeah, next time, yeah, that's for reference.
So Andre Harrison's not bullshitting. It really said that scam likely.
Scam likely. I was like, I don't know who's scam likely calling me this time of night.
Hey, Andre,
get me in trouble with my lady, man.
Did you get caught up in that old Face app that everybody was doing? Did you hear about that scam?
I saw it, but no, I never did it.
So it's an app where you can make yourself look older, and a lot of people were putting that out. You know, you just said you saw it, but apparently in the last 48 hours, people are saying, do not download it. It's a scam or whatever, a hack. And I guess somewhere when you agree to the terms, you allow them access to all of the pictures on your phone. So that goes to anybody that's listening. Don't get caught up in that. Anyway, you didn't, so you didn't, so you're good to go. All right, you're fighting on Thursday, and you've been pretty lucky here with the PFL. A lot of the fights have been back east. That's got to be pretty nice for you. You know what I mean? You get to have friends and family come out, and there's not much travel involved.
Yeah, it has its perks. You know, it has its ups and downs. I feel like when you fight home, you have like your routine is a little better set because you know everything that you know is close by. Whereas when you fight away, you know you don't really know the areas too much, so you kind of gotta take what you can get. But also, like you said, when you fight home, there's a lot more people that come out to see you, so it could be a little bit more pressure, a little more added stress and stuff like that.
I found something out this week that I guess surprised me a little bit, but maybe it shouldn't have. I don't know. I've been covering the sport for a dozen years now. We had a fighter named Jay Huron from your neck of the woods, from Long Island.
Oh, yeah.
You remember him, right?
Yeah.
He was sharing with us
that Jay all the time.
Exactly. So he was sharing with us that when he fought for Bellator years ago, he had to fight 3 times, 30 days apart. And that was to progress through the tournaments and then eventually get to a shot, which was against Ben Askren. He was telling us, I'd rather fight multiple times in one night than to do the whole fight, come back in 30 days, fight, come back in 30 days, just because he says your body starts to decompress and start the healing process, and you really should be in the middle of yet another camp, another diet. And then I thought, holy cow, the PFL has both. You guys do the frequent fights, but then you also have one night where you have to fight 2 times. So since you've experienced both, you tell me what is worse, fighting multiple times in one night or when you have to fight these quick turnaround fights?
Man, they both have their evils, man. Like Jay said, when you fight close together, even if you don't get any injuries during the actual fight, like everybody has bumps and bruises from camp. It is what it is. You spar, you lift, you run. Everybody has their nicks and knacks from camp. So now you have to go, you fight with that, and then when you get out, your typical reaction is to take some time off, heal, give physical therapy, and then ease back in to training. When you have, the structure that we have, you don't have that luxury. It's, after you fight, it's getting right back to training because you're fighting in a couple weeks. Now, especially last year, like this year, at least we have 9 weeks in between fights. Last year, it was 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
So it was rough, and then the 2 fights in one night. If you have a tough first fight, you go back to the locker room, you have just enough time to start to warm up again, and then you got to go back out, which is, it's rough.
Yeah, man, that's crazy to hear it that way, the way, Jay was telling us. And then it only took me a second because I followed PFL pretty closely. We've been tracking a lot of you fighters on this show, and I thought, wow, so these guys really do earn that million, and all the paydays along the way, they put you through hell. So you as a fighter who's now been with the PFL for a few years, would you give them feedback to say, hey, give us even more time in between? Like, would you like to start this maybe in March?
I think that'd be awesome, man, if they gave us, just a little bit more time. Like this year with the 9 weeks is definitely a little bit better. But if they gave us a couple extra weeks, it'd definitely be a lot better. That way we can take that first, maybe 2-3 weeks and heal, and then get to have like a legit solid 7 to get ready for a fight, and go like that.
What about your feedback on 2 fights in one night? Do you like it?
Kind of, sorta. I'd rather it be structured so that way both you and your secondary opponent would have about the same amount of rest time. Be something like that. Whereas one guy could potentially have a half hour between bouts, and the other guy can possibly have about 2 hours between bouts.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. I'm looking back here at PFL 8, and Palmer fought about an hour before you did. Might not seem like a lot, but 1 hour on fight night probably would be nice. I don't know if it's a
Hell
little
yeah.
bit of extra stretching or closing your eyes for a bit or visualization or what, but I can't see how it wouldn't be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me turn it over to Goes here. Goes, what do you have for Andre Harrison?
Andre, the whole format, what is worse, the physical part of it or the stress that comes along? Because I think a lot of times we hear fighters talk about just how stressful and what that can actually do to your body.
For me, I try to alleviate as much stress as possible. I try to like block out all the things I don't really have control over. So me personally, I would say more the physical aspect of it, because you really do put your body through a lot, during this season. It's like once you get going, there is no slowing down. There is no, break. Like, you're going to fight at certain times and you have to be ready for it. There is no, well, my foot hurts, I can't really do anything right now. You just have to go and do what you got to do.
On that same topic of stress, one thing that we've heard fighters say, undefeated fighters say, that when they suffer their first loss, there's a little bit of stress of having to hear undefeated fighter and all that kind of go away. It alleviates a little bit of stress. And then other fighters go, hell no, I wish I could just retire undefeated. Where do you stand on all that?
I mean, obviously, everybody would want to retire undefeated. That's a big, a big thing for your career. But me, I kind of focus more on performances. I try and have, the best performances that I could possibly have. So I look at it more that way and try not to focus so much on record as much.
Mm-hmm. And then last question for me, what's your take on Tupperware? Because for only $27.99, I can get you 8 pieces of Tupperware. No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to scam you.
You're trying to scam him?
I was trying to throw a scam out there.
Okay, it didn't work out, huh?
Nah.
Andre, let me ask you this. Movlid Khaibulaev, he, was definitely on the map with that flying knee he threw at Damon Jackson. How much has that been a part of your focus? I imagine everyone that fights Jorge Masvidal will be thinking the same thing. Everybody that might be fighting this guy will be thinking the same thing. But you're a wrestler with those instincts of, ducking down for a single or a double or whatever, comes your way. So how much have you already rehearsed this, trained it, and will you be looking out for it?
Like if you look at however many fights Masvidal has and how many people he's finished, within the first 10 seconds with a flying knee, I think Ben was the only person that's happened to. And the same thing with my opponent, Kovalov. I'm sure he landed flying knees before in fights, or landed knees, period. But, he's only ever had one finish. That's not a high percentage where in the first 10 seconds of a fight you throw a flying knee and it's like, the biggest thing ever.
Uh-huh.
He definitely is a talented striker, and he's good at those knees. He threw them in previous fights and things like that. But, a punch is a punch, a kick is a kick, a knee is a knee. It's all, you can't really worry about one particular strike, because in the process of you worrying about that, you're going to get hit with everything else. And so I just got to be on my A game and look to execute what I want to do out there. And should that happen, I believe I'll have a good night.
Well, I don't know if you follow all the different leagues. We just talked about Masvidal. Remember, Lyoto was kind of doing the same thing to Chael Sonnen. And so what do you think will be the wrestler's counter to this, to the natural instinct you guys have of sometimes ducking your head? What can be the natural counter towards the striker to make them pay for that?
Not always shoot once you kind of fake for a shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing if we were just boxing. You don't necessarily throw every punch. Sometimes you fake a shot just to get the person to react, and then you throw off of that fake. It'd be the same thing for wrestlers. If you're applying pressure, and you fake like you're going to shoot, a person has to kind of respect it, and they have to do something about that. Otherwise, they'll get taken down, and nobody wants to get taken down, because then you got to spend so much energy to get back up. And, so once you can fake and kind of break their rhythm a little bit, then you can set up to do all kinds of things.
Right. Did you ever watch old school fights? Do you remember Affliction?
Yes.
Do you remember when Fedor countered Andre's jumping knee with that big old right hand? Like, is that something you work on as well?
I don't know if that's something that Fedor necessarily practiced, or if he just seen him coming towards him and his natural instinct was head off, overhand right, and Arlovsky hands happen to be down. Now, I don't know if that's something that can be reenacted. You just kind of got to do what just kind of got to hope you have the better reaction. Because
anyone
coming with the knee and I'm throwing prior to, maybe I land first, maybe he lands first. Who knows? But it's just about reacting in there.
Because anyone coming with a flying knee, their hands are not going to be covered. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it depends. There's the jumping knee. There's different flying knee varieties. I mean, Taiwan Claxton can cover a lot of ground with the way he does it. Then there's other guys that'll just do it off the clinch where they just kind of jump straight up. Masvidal kind of disguised his a little bit with his hands behind the back. So yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, but man, the one thing wrestlers have been able to do in this sport is adapt. But go ahead, Goz. What do you have for? Do you want to say
I was just gonna say, I think what played a part in that Arlovsky-Fedor fight was the fact that, remember, Emelianenko came from Pride, where he's used to the ropes in the ring.
Oh,
and I think he's used to kind of going back off of them and springboarding.
True.
So I think, like you said, I think it was probably a natural reaction to just kind of put your back on them ropes and then shoot off of them.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
All right, Andre. Well, listen, man, I'm glad we were able to catch up. Want to wish you the best of luck with the last couple sessions you have. Obviously, a safe wake up as always, and good luck next Thursday, man. We will be tuning in to PFL 4 in 2019 here, week 4.
Who do you guys have picked winning that battle?
You versus Kaibulev?
Yes. Be honest now.
I am. Trust me, I've done this with fighters on the phone and said the other guy, but I don't do it too often. But I'm going to go with you, man. I mean, for one, I do side with wrestlers a lot, for starters. 2, I like that. I think the wrestler is also familiar with the quicker turnaround type fight because of the high school and college season where you guys are sometimes fighting days apart or weeks apart. So I don't know. That's just something that you guys are kind of like ingrained in, the weight losses and stuff like that. And plus, I mean, if you are able to secure some early takedowns, I think you're going to drain that cardio, that gas tank. You know what I mean?
They'll get frustrated too.
Yeah. So man, you're a tough puzzle to solve. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go with you on this one.
Have to get another interview after this.
How about you guys? Who do you like in this one? Do you want to?
Oh, I got Andre, and that ain't no boo.
No, yeah, seriously. I really want to get to the trilogy between you and Lance Palmer. I think you guys got something special going on. Hopefully, that's the fight for $1 million. But first things first, right? The regular season.
Oh yeah, got to make it out of that first.
Yeah. All right, my man. Thanks again for the time. We appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, take care. All right, folks, excuse me. That is Andre Harrison, one of the best fighters PFL's ever had. He's got a long tenure with them. In fact, even before they started this whole playoffs and regular seasons, he was one of their champions. Now, I think is a good time to squeeze in this daily debate and get this all right now.
The brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy.
or even social media.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
The same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's daily debate question for MMA Junkie Radio. Do you think Donald Cerrone versus Justin Gaethje is the best UFC main event booked so far this year? Yes or no, but I'd like for you to comment, obviously, if your answer is no. And can I give you a little history on this question, goes?
Sure.
Apparently, Aaron Bronstetter, MMA media member, who we've met, obviously, respected fella, he's the one that actually made a comment towards this being the best.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be honest, no disrespect to Aaron, I giggled. I was like, come on, man. That was his say. That's what he was saying, was that this is the best UFC main event booked so far this year.
Okay.
And I could just say that off the top of my head, right? But then when I went back and
issues
scrolled, huh?
You have issues against that?
You think this is the best main event?
It's pretty hard to beat.
Really?
Yeah, because it caught us all by surprise. I guess I'm giving my hand
Sure,
away.
okay.
But it caught us by surprise, which is always fun. It sucks when, I mean, it doesn't suck, but when something's getting built up and you kind of know it's coming, it doesn't have that same oomph than when you hear somebody tweet something out and you go, what? Are you kidding? And you scroll through and you make sure and you look for confirmations and it actually comes true. When do you see Justin Gaethje take a fight on short notice? It was really something that people weren't, but still, you know, he likes longer camps. It's something that caught us all by surprise. So that's like your first rush of adrenaline. The second one comes when you go, well, how the hell is this fight going to break down? And then you realize they're both going to stand in front of each other. And they're just going to let go.
Yeah, okay. I just know that 2019 had some incredible matchups. We were saying how lucky we are. This is one of the few years where we're starting off with a bang, and then we're saying, usually we're like, oh, this year's been slow, but wow, wait till the end of the year. This guy's getting healthy. This gal's getting healthy. Mm-hmm. Blah, 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 blah. You know, we're going to finish strong, and 2019's been incredible. But to be clear here, this was only main events.
Right.
So, for example, we couldn't really even include Cerrone and Ferguson.
Correct.
Masvidal and Askren. I mean, because they weren't technically main events. But I knew the one fight that jumped out at me that I thought, okay, well, see, I'm big on the belts, so just Cejudo and Dillashaw was like, I know that came with problems, you know what I mean? Just Cejudo and Dillashaw I just thought was pretty historic. That was the birth of Triple C, and it was a champion versus a champion. But in Atlanta, we had the two fights. One was Adesanya versus Gastelum, but then Poirier and Holloway. Poirier's just, you can throw Poirier just like you can Gaethje and Cerrone, just the guy that his fights never suck. And then you had Holloway, whose fights also didn't suck, but he was going for history. So I knew I had a couple there, but yeah, I started thinking, whoa, okay, maybe Aaron wasn't as crazy as I thought. I was actually going to give him a call and go, bro, we need to get you some help. I don't know if he's just abusing Class A drugs or if he bumped his head, because I was like, how can he say that? You know what I mean? But yeah, when you scroll back, some fights are just kind of hidden as co-main events.
Yeah.
Some are hidden as featured bouts or whatever, and the elimination process starts there.
So are you agreeing?
No, I'm still going to go with this isn't the best one booked yet, because, man, those high stakes at when you have to do with title fights just does it for me. That said, I think this is a great fight.
But if they're both there, there's two doors. You don't walk into Gaethje and Cerrone?
I go into Holloway and Poirier.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd go into Cejudo versus Dillashaw as well.
Man, I don't know.
I might even go into Cejudo versus Moraes.
I kind of like that one too.
Yeah.
Just because anytime I like when, like somebody like an Eddie Alvarez, right, that came over from Bellator, a guy like Marlon that came over from World Series. Whenever you bring those guys over, it just kind of makes it fun. It reminds you of the old Pride versus UFC.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that.
Till was a main event too.
Yeah, but that didn't have the luster that some of the ones you're talking about.
No, it didn't. But if you just put it up against this, you kind of expected fireworks that night, right? And this is without even throwing John Jones into the mix.
But this is Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
I guess. I had told people I thought Thiago Santos would have some moments. I thought John Jones was going to win, but I knew Santos was explosive and dynamic, and I thought he could do something. I didn't think it was going to be so close that he almost became a world champion. But yeah, it's probably top 5.
I pictured Donald with that eye, and how could you possibly ask him, once that heals up, you want to fight Justin Gaethje? Like, dude, this guy's What's he made
He's
out of?
something else. He's something else. Well, I'll tell you what. This one went right down to the wire, and that's why we didn't do it earlier, because we wanted to finish and get as many votes in. But basically, almost 1,000 votes came in. 51% said yes. 49% said no.
Ooh.
There is no right or no wrong. Good stuff there. And shout out to Aaron Bronstetter, who I think was the one that got this thing going. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll come back with Kayla Harrison, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in judo for the United States and currently one of the big stars over at PFL. She fights in the lightweight division, and she's one of the 4 semifinalists who are headed towards the playoffs in October. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Are covered with participation awards. They have boxes of gold stars that they purchase themselves. They are the legends and demand your respect. Here are George and Goes.
All right, our next guest, 5-0 in the sport of mixed martial arts. And of course, she comes over from the sport of judo, where she was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist for the United States, 2012 and 2016. The one and only Kayla Harrison. Hi, Kayla. How you doing? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Not much. How you doing? You seem to be in a good mood.
I'm always in a good mood. You know me.
All right.
Well, maybe you don't know me, but I'm pretty cheerful.
Very cool. All right. So I wanted to ask you, Kayla, this journey to become a world champion at the PFL, would you say it resembles your first quest to become an Olympic gold medalist? Like, are you having the same type of like fun and stressors and competitive juices flowing? Like that? Is it comparable?
No, God, no, not at all. This is way more fun.
Nice.
Becoming an Olympic champion was full of a lot of heartache and a lot of loss and a lot of ups and downs and roller coasters. And, I mean, granted, I have had a lot of, roller coasters in my MMA career, but they haven't resulted in any losses yet. So I would definitely say it's a lot more fun. Winning is fun.
Now, give me an example of a roller coaster you've had in MMA, because all I've seen is destruction. I mean, you're 5-0, and you've been really, really fighting well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people pointed towards my fight with Larissa Pacheco because I showed some emotion after the win. It was my first fight that went the distance. I was definitely upset with, my performance, so I would call that a little bit of a downer. Just because I know that I'm so much better than the performance that I put on that night. But listen, the reality is, like, what we do and stepping into that cage, like, you never know what's going to happen. It's a fight. Anything can happen. I was a little taken aback because my opponent changed 2 days before the fight. I got bumped up to the main event, and a lot of personal stuff going on. So it was kind of a tough moment for me, and the fact that I was able to still prevail was good. It just wasn't good enough for me.
All right, Kayla Harrison, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. She fights for the PFL, and she's coming off a win recently over Morgan Fryer, submission. It was an Americana, round 1. She has now moved on to the playoffs, which will be in October, and they'll be taking place here at the Mandalay Bay Hotel here in Las Vegas, where our home studio's at. All right, Goes, what do you have for Kayla Harrison?
Oh, thanks for telling me where they are.
You didn't know that?
No, I don't, I'm on a need-to-know basis. I just knew October 11th.
Yeah, so we have the arena here at the Mandalay Bay, our studios here at the Mandalay Bay, so hopefully we get some of the PFL fighters here on Fight Week.
Nice setup, George. I like that.
We'll see.
All right.
So, you brought up that fight and the emotions after that fight, and I wanted to ask you a question along those lines. For some fighters, they'll say that those feelings don't get erased until the next fight ends. But some will also say that there are certain things that happen in training where they can kind of just feel a little better about what happened after they break it down, why they fought that way, and the adjustments that they make. Which one were you? Did it take the next fight to happen for that to go away, that feeling?
I don't know that I don't know that my performances ever leave me. One of my favorite sayings is failure is my fuel, and although it wasn't technically a failure in my eyes, it was definitely not a great performance. So it just made me go back to the gym and train that much harder, work that much harder. I have the best coaches in the world. They broke everything down for me. I had a long talk with my striking coach after the fight. We doubled up on the training sessions. We're doing, not just pad work, but breaking everything down, doing drills over and over and over and over and over again. Just building that base, getting the fundamentals, and becoming a very well-rounded fighter, which I didn't really get to showcase in my last fight, which is annoying to me. But no, I wouldn't say that my failures ever leave me. That stuff keeps me up at night to this day. I still remember the last match I lost in judo.
Wow. So that drive that you're talking about, the drive that got you to the gold medal, and then in MMA it's gotten you to where you're at. does it apply to everything in your life? So in other words, if we were to just pick up 2 golf clubs and went golfing or bowling, do you have that same drive for everything?
Yeah. It sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck. Like, obviously it makes me, you know, the person that I am, but I wonder what it must be like to go out with your friends and play, you know, mini golf or whatever and, like, actually enjoy it. Like, I wonder what that must feel like, because I am only enjoying it if I'm winning. And that's not to say that I can't, like, have fun and relax, but don't bring a game, because, I mean, all I do is play games all day. Cards, friggin' Uno, Monopoly, Rummy, everything. That's all I do all day. That's all I make all my friends do. That's what I do fight week. And if I'm not winning, I'm upset. I'm not enjoying myself.
I don't like people's faces in Uno when they drop that draw 4. Isn't that annoying? They just have that smug face. Oh, man, I hate it.
Yeah, Mike Brown is like, he gets so we play, like, we have these epic Uno tournaments during my fight week, and he's like, well, let's make it interesting. We're going to put $20 in the pot, you know, first one to 500 wins. And he is convinced that I, like, stack the deck because I always get draw 2s. And, like, I wish next time I'll record his face so that you guys can see, because he goes, nuts, and he, like, pick up the call. He gets so upset. That makes me smile.
You're talking about Mike Brown, you said, right?
Yeah.
How happy was the whole gym for Mike Brown for winning Coach of the Year at the World MMA Awards?
Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me? We cleaned house. Like, it was amazing. I mean, just being coached by him, you know, he was really pumped because it was the first time he'd ever won it. ATT 3 years in a row, you know, best gym. Amanda cleaned house. Like, it was just a great night.
Are all the ladies close across all of the divisions? Like you mentioned Amanda, and I know Joanna's there, and Tisha's back. And so would you say that the core group's pretty close, or do you all kind of just go your separate ways after practice?
Well, I mean, I'm still kind of the new girl, but I'm very fortunate that, like, I am friends with everyone. I think that are kind of, not cliques, but, like, it's tough. Like, not everyone can train with everyone. Not everyone can, you know, work together. There's all different sizes, shapes, and whatnot there. Everyone has their own schedule, especially when you're Joanna or Amanda. You know, you guys are the stars of the gym, so you kind of have your own stuff going on. But, I mean, I'm friends with everybody, so I'm lucky. I hang out with Joanna, I hang out with Amanda, I hang out with Nina, I hang out with, you know, all the other girls at the gym. My roommate, Kayla, she lives in the house. She's a young up-and-coming, about to turn pro. She just moved into my house with me. We just went to Jamaica for a couple days. I mean, I'm living my best life.
Very cool.
It's cool to be surrounded by such badass women, you know?
Yeah. You said it. The gym's on fire. They won a lot of awards. They won a lot of fights. Good stuff over there. I did want to circle back to one thing, though. You talked about, you know, whether it's bowling or cards or... I was thinking about it. There was times where I worked in corporate America and we'd have like the co-ed bowling team or something, and nothing would grind my gears than to have either that guy or that girl that just kind of like lobs the bowling ball, could care less if it was a, you know, like if it was 2 gutter balls in a row. Yeah. So I feel like I'm more on the competitive side, you know what I mean? And and honestly, I would like to have someone like Kayla on the team. I want to high five someone, you know what I mean? I want to like be mad together if we lose and then go, let's get them the next time, you know what I mean? So
we literally had some people at my house the other day when we were playing Uno, and this kid was down to 1 card, and it was like a wild, and he called for green. And the kid in front of him just laid a green card, but he had a green skip in his hand. And so the other kid won, and I just laughed. I was like, you laid a green card when you had a green skip? It's like, I lost it. And then afterwards I realized, like, okay, Kayla, these people don't really know. Like, you should probably, I had to apologize and sound like, I'm sorry. I get a little aggressive sometimes. It's not your fault. Like, I understand you don't play Uno that often. It's no big deal. No hard feelings. But, yeah, I'm just like, listen, when I wake up, my goal is to be the best possible version of myself, whether that's friggin', you know, in the gym, whether it's doing the dishes, whether it's, you know, beating everyone to the car so that I get to sit shotgun, whatever it is. I want to be the best possible version of myself.
Well, I'll tell you what. If we're lucky enough to have you as one of the fighters on Fight Week come by the studio here at the Mandalay Bay, I'm going to bring a Jenga goes. We've had some nice Jenga games with some fighters, and I think that would be some fun. There would be a little competition and intensity.
I'm not the best at Jenga, but okay.
Yeah.
Dude,
okay.
Ben,
I get a little anxious when I'm on camera, so. All right, we'll do it.
Ben Rothwell was just talking about his game of Jenga with you last week.
That's right. I played Ben Rothwell once. We were at a military base, and we played. We had a great game, man. I can't believe how high the tower got, but that was
intense.
My hands were shaking. So if you're one of those that's like cool as a cucumber, Kayla, you might beat me then.
No, my hands will be shaking. I get super worked up.
Well, listen,
but I'll still win. Don't worry.
That was a great win that you had, and congratulations to making it to the playoffs. This is, it's really, really cool to see, Sarah Kaufman advance, Larissa, your first opponent, she advanced, and I think that the foursome that's there, are very well deserving. So we can't wait to see you guys compete. So anyway, it's great to have you back on the show. Thanks so much for your time as always, and I want to wish you a safe camp throughout the summer, and we'll see you in October.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for your time. All right, folks, that is Kayla Harrison. Follow her on Twitter at judo_Kayla. Big shout out to the guys for Dominance for lining that one up. Now we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Corey Anderson. Stay close. Don't touch that dial. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Fight Nation, Channel 156.
It's Gorgeous George and Goes.
The Open, golf's final major championship of the 2019 season, has arrived, and SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio takes you live to Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland for play-by-play coverage of the opening round from the 148th Open Championship. Second round coverage starts at 2 a.m. Eastern on Sirius 208, XM 92, and on your SiriusXM app. Yeah, I think I said it right. Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland.
It's Portrush, isn't it?
Oh, is it Portrush?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Port
it is
Rush.
Portrush. My bad. Sorry. All right. I'm not going to mess up this guy. This is Corey Anderson. Been following him for a while, all the way through the reality show. I think that was season like 19 or something like that. Remember Team Edgar versus Team Pengos? Mm-hmm. He's done that, and he's been a veteran of the light heavyweight division for a good 5 solid years now. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and he really wants that shot against John Jones because John Jones has stated he wants to fight one more time in 2019. He's looking for December. Corey wants to be on the opposite side of the octagon. Joining us now is Corey Anderson. What's up, Corey? How you doing? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
What up, George? How you doing?
Doing great, man. How about you?
I'm all right. Just living the family life right now.
All right, my man. So listen. Oh yeah, I saw you on some. What was that? Like the parachutes or jumping, skydiving or something like that earlier today.
Yeah, indoor skydiving. That wasn't today. That was just a throwback Thursday. That was a while ago. That was before I was married and had a kid.
What's that like? Is that fun? Do you endorse that, or is that a waste of everyone's time?
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was a weekend in Vegas. Me and a couple teammates was out there for training camp, and we decided before we get home, let's fly our ladies out here. Let's fly the ladies out and have a weekend in Vegas. And that was one of the things. Can't remember whose manager got that set up, but we went and did that and indoor go-karting. It was all fun, a little fun weekend, so we had a blast.
All right, cool. Have you ever done the real skydive?
Nope.
Would you?
And I don't plan on it. Nope. As I said, I see no reason to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
There's certain nopes that you just know that's it, right?
That was
no
a firm nope.
Yeah.
There was no saying like, for real? Are you sure? It didn't sound like no amount of money was going to change his mind.
No, I used to kick with this girl in high school, and her dad had a hangar, and that's what they did. They used to go parachuting all the time, and they wanted to take me out there for free. Nope. I told her the same thing. There's no reason to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. It's not for me. I'm okay. Yeah.
I'm with you.
All right.
That was it.
Let's talk a little bit about your career. You know, you are on a very impressive 3-fight win streak with wins over Patrick Cummins, Glover Teixeira, Ilir Latifi. And you've been pretty vocal and active, pleading your case for you being next for John Jones. So I've been observing it. You know, I know there's a few other fighters that feel like maybe they might be next. I think Dominic Reyes would probably be the one other fighter that I see, you know, a push being made by the fans. But I want to ask you, Corey, first, can you update us? What have you been told? Have you been told that a decision hasn't been made, but that you are in the running, that you're the favorite, or have you heard any feedback at all from the UFC?
I haven't heard anything. I heard they want me to come to Vegas next week and have a meeting with Hunter and Dana and those guys. But other than that, I've heard nothing about the fight. Okay.
Now, if and when they approach you, you're ready to rock and roll. You're healthy. You can start a camp soon. You can fight, you know, John Jones in December if they want. There's no problems with your health, right?
100%. I'm good to go. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity.
Could you fight November 2nd in that Madison Square Garden as well? I mean, I think so, right? There's enough time there for a camp. Doesn't have to be December.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever he wanted to fight, if it's him, whenever he wanted to fight, I'm ready to go, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I'm training all the time. Like I said, only thing I need right now, now that I have a family and a wife, and my wife is working, and the baby, he's so young, we can't put him in daycare or anything. I need enough time to get a family member out here, get them on a set schedule where they can take care of them, and I'll be free to go to the gym or go to check in for the fight week or whatever, because right now, me and my wife, we just go back and forth watching. I watch her while she's at work. When she comes back, I just start training. She only works part-time, so it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. But still, we need somebody here to watch our son before I can jump into anything. So, like a week short notice fight coming up, I wouldn't be able to do that. But you give me at least 5 weeks, and I'm ready.
Have you been offered any other fights throughout 2019 at all?
Yeah, well, the first fight they called me for was Gustafson. That was a fight I definitely wanted, but it just came at a time where the first date that they gave me was March 12th or whatever. It was the UFC. It was somewhere in Europe or whatever, his hometown, Sweden. But it was literally the due date of my son.
Mm-hmm.
So I said no. But then they kept calling me right after that. But if you watch my fight in December, I said I'm not booking another fight. And I said in the meeting, I won't book another fight unless it's a title fight. That's the only fight my wife said she would let me take. Because she did 3 fight camps with me while she was pregnant. She traveled with me. She traveled to the gym. She filled my farm. She cooked my meals. She does all that stuff for me other than my meal prep company. But she does everything for me through the camp to make sure I'm the best I can be. So, like, she just asked me, like, since I did all that, can you do me a favor and just be with me for this last part until the baby comes? You know, we never know if something happens, she will want me to be there. You know, and at the time, Ray Bork had just announced that he was pulling out of a fight because his son had that, I can't remember what it was, he had something go wrong with his son. And in my mind, that's when it hit me like, yo, what if I take a fight and my son isn't born healthy and I won't even be able to be in camp and I'm doing ripping and running from the hospital to the gym or I'm at home all day and then I got to pull out a fight anyway. So in my mind, I was like, I'm not taking anything until I was sure I had a healthy baby boy. And literally the day, like not even 12 hours after my son was born, when the sun came up, I texted Dana White and Nick Mann, everybody said, yo, I want that Gus fight. Let's make it happen June 1st. My son is healthy. There's no problems. Let's go. My manager, Gus, his team was on board. Everybody was on board. And then Dana was like, oh, we're giving it to Anthony Smith. Enjoy your family. But they had just called me literally on March 8th and they asked me to take the fight. And this was March 9th at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. Okay. So. Well, I'll tell you what, when you put it like that, man, I think you were well within your rights. You know, you had a super busy 2018. The fact that you and your wife worked so close together, her being a part of your career, the birth of a child, the fact that a stablemate from your management team had experienced problems and it kind of opened your eyes. I mean, I everything you're saying, I am totally understanding of how this year has played out for you, Corey.
I'm kind of floored, aren't you, George? Like, dude, that's like role model stuff. Like, that's what you want your kids to see from professional athletes. And like, everything he said made sense. Everything, I couldn't imagine somebody being on the other side of that negotiation table going, "You're wrong." Like, he said all the right things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of the things. I guess in the last when I was, I don't know what fight it was I was pushed for, Dominic Reyes or Anthony Smith, somebody. My manager pushed it to him. They hit me back like, well, you turned down a fight against Gus. And I really looked at my manager like, really? They going to put that out there that I turned that fight down? Like, I turned it down for family reasons. Like, I would think they would support that. And then also they offered me Rockhold, but that was, like I said, at the point I thought, like I said that on Instagram too, or Twitter, hey, yeah, they offered me that fight, but I'm at the point where I beat number 3 and number 4. I either want a title fight or one fight that's going to give me the title. I'm not going to keep fighting these fights just to keep fighting, you know, like a lot of people do. I don't want to be like a Donald Cerrone and just fight to be fighting. Mm-hmm. I got a family now, so I'm fighting for a reason. I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting for my legacy. I want to get to that belt and prove I deserve it. And win, lose, or draw, I'm going to walk off, shake it off, and I'm going to go back to the drawing board and prepare for the next title defense or prepare to get my way back to the title. But I guess that ain't what they want.
Corey Anderson's our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. 12-4 overall, 9 of those wins coming in the UFC. Currently riding a 3-fight win streak. Most recently, Ilir Latifi in December 29th at UFC 232. All right, goes. What do you have for Corey Anderson?
Corey, when you watched Thiago Santos and how he fought John Jones, do you feel like anything he did exposed things about John Jones?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't, if anybody watched that fight and say John Jones is still the John Jones he was back in the early 2000s or whatever when he won the belt and was doing all the fancy stuff, I would tell you watched that fight with your eyes closed. There were so many openings and things that John, not only Thiago made obvious, that John made obvious, you know, and I won't point it out on the air because then it's like if he's listening, he know what to fix. But just know me and my team and my teammates and friends and people that know me in the fight world, we've all been discussing these different things and working on capitalizing if the opportunity comes.
the feeling after that fight, was it something similar to the first time when Gustafsson fought him? You know, some people were kind of pointing to, well, maybe that's an off John Jones night, and then other people were saying, no, just Gus was that good. Then later on they fought, and John, you know, granted they're a little older. How did you feel about, like, that comparison?
You know, to be honest, I can't even say it because I didn't watch the Gustafsson fight until before we fought on in Cali in December 29th. I had never really watched the original when the fight was on my birthday, my senior year in college, actually, when that original fight happened. And I remember the talks when we was at the bar, everybody talked about it, but in college I never really cared so much for the fight. And even studying his film, for some reason I just never watched that fight. I studied his fight with DC all the time, I guess, because DC style is similar to mine. But watching that fight, I will say I don't think Thiago won. You know, he did a lot. He kept it close. But if you count the punches, like I counted the punches per round compared to what the UFC put up there for stats, I felt John landed more strikes. Granted, he was always on the back foot when Thiago ran forward. But I think it was clear cut. I gave one round to Thiago and the other 4 to John. So I don't think it was as close as everybody said it was.
We only have 60 seconds, Corey. One last question. Do you like those little interactions on Twitter? Do you feel like that's a little bit of pre-fight hype that'll just make the fight bigger? You know, most recently I saw you and John have an exchange.
I mean, I post, like one of my coaches say, I don't go in there talking shit. I go in there posting stats and facts. You know, the fans got stuff to say. The other fighters got something to say. I don't talk shit. I just put the facts out there. And it seems like I talk shit. I don't mind it. I can do with it. I can do without it. But I'm just the type of person, I'm going to voice my opinion regardless. You know, people tell me to stay off of Twitter and quit doing that, this and that, this and that. But that's just not me. I'm type. I will never bite my tongue for anyone or anything. So if I feel I need to say something, I'm going to say it.
All right. And on the way out, we just want to give you an early congratulations. You've been nominated for the Hall of Fame for the state of New Jersey martial arts. So very, very cool to see you and Marlon Moraes be a part of that. And Corey, thank you so much for your time here on a Thursday, late night, back east. But we really appreciate it. Great catching up with you. And hopefully you get them big fights that you deserve, my man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on the show. You guys have a good night.
All right, you too, sir. You too. All right, folks, that is our show for today. Again, a shout-out to Puna from Dominance for lining all that up. Great, fun show that we had today, including Corey Anderson, our recent guest here, Kayla Harrison before him, and Andre Harrison before her. So that is it for today. Tomorrow, I know Rafael Asuncao and Freddie Asuncao will join us here on the show. And for Andre and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be a champion.